To call the meeting to order. It's 6:30. And a roll call,
Sandy Slavin.
Donna Bronk.
Peter Dunlop.
and Jim Gibberti. So we have a quorum. We have minutes.
Minutes are not completed.
They are not completed. Okay, we will then skip the minutes for the next meeting.
Where's the minutes?
We have a review of the EDU billing. Well, that's still in the works. We don't have,
Can I ask a question on
yeah,
that, though?
go right ahead.
How, are you putting a basic charge for just 2 bedrooms or less, and then you're adding?
We haven't even decided, this board hasn't decided what the base is going to be.
Gotcha.
2 bedrooms has been discussed, 3 bedrooms has been discussed.
Is this something that we're gonna be allowed to
Oh, yeah.
to make the
Oh,
decision
definitely.
to, or it's
Definitely.
the selectmen
The only
making
thing,
that
what's gonna
decision?
happen on this, the way it's gonna be working, is Mac and I have been meeting, we'll come up with proposals.
Yep.
Those aren't gonna be cast in stone. They're gonna be subject for discussion by everybody, input any way you want.
Well,
But
90 yeah.
we can have the meeting with the 2 of us without having to do an open meeting. And I
Yeah.
prefer not to do an open meeting on this, not to try to hide anything, but only because you say something when it's only in discussion stage, and somebody takes it as gospel of that's the way it's gonna be. And that's not the case. Nothing is going to be implemented until it's gone by this entire board and has been voted on by the board. Does that answer your question?
Yes and no. Will the board have the final say on it, or will?
Oh, yeah, the board will have the final say.
You sure of that?
Her question will the selectmen have to approve it?
Yes.
That was her
That's my
question.
thank
That
you.
was her
That's my
question.
question.
No, they should not. That's not,
I'm just-
it's not under their purview.
Okay. That was only my
Not
question.
under their purview, Sandy.
That was her question, and I was trying to,
You
like her,
clarified
trying
it
to
for
get
me.
the answer.
Thank you.
Make up a story, like you usually do.
Shush. Jimmy.
Merciful heavens. Okay,
Another liaison, that's what
we have some contracts for approval.
These all renewals, guy?
No, these are actually new contracts. We put them out to bid, and these are the winning bidders for these contracts. The soda ash, we use quite a lot of it, hydrated lime, liquid sodium hypochlorite, which commonly known as bleach. It's 14% bleach. Holland Company does the poly aluminum chloride, which is for precipitating out phosphorus out of the water stream. So these are new contracts went out, and these are the
Okay.
bids. And these are the ones that won the bids, and so we're going to move forward with contracts.
Guy, is 409.33 a good price per ton for soda ash?
It's been rising up. It's a good price. We took the lowest bidder. Actually, on soda ash, we had 2 bidders, and the other bidder didn't complete the paperwork, so they were ineligible to be considered, and Univar was the lowest bid, yes.
I make a motion, we approve the contract for Univar for the soda ash.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 2400. Guy, can I ask a question on this Univar? Of these contracts we have here, how many of these companies that have bid are repeat people that we've dealt with?
Most, I would say 3 or 4, only because they're local. The problem with chemicals, it's bulk,
Yeah.
tractor trailers, and so shipping becomes an issue. We would go out to St. Louis and Dallas and try to get some of the bigger companies, but when they factor in trucking it here and timing the whole 9 yards, they can't compete, nor can they bid. So it's people within excuse me, within New England,
give you
maybe
all three.
Connecticut, maybe New York, Massachusetts, maybe New Hampshire, maybe Maine. That's as far out as we can get because of trucking. Trucking is a difficult thing.
Was this the lowest bidder?
All of these were the lowest bidder.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, the next one we have is Borden and Remington for hydrated lime and liquid sodium hypochlorite.
I make a motion, we accept the bid from Borden Remington Corporation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
400. And we have one from the Holland Company to provide polyaluminum chloride.
Same story.
I make a motion that we accept the contract from Holland Company Incorporated.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 400. Guy, just for my own edification, how much of this hypochlorite, gallons-wise, do we use?
We buy 55-gallon drums, four to a pallet, and we probably buy 4 drums monthly or 20 days.
Okay, that gives me a better feel now. I was just trying to extrapolate.
We add hypochlorite to drink a non-potable water, which we call plant water, and specific to the biological process to kill some unwanted wee beasties, if you will, and so we just pump it right into the water. It helps with our nitrification and denitrification process. Plus, we use it to clean, because it's also a sterilizer. If we have a spill out in town, manhole spills, we use hypochlorite to kill everything. We add it to catch bases that may go to the river. So hypochlorite is a pretty, a really important chemical. And boarding Remington's out of Fall River, so it was easy for them to make the trucking. And it's the Univars out of Providence. And so when you do in bulk, the closer it is, they become more competitive.
Good, thank you. Moratorium. Letters have been sent out to those people that are in the queue to find out what their
Status.
status is. And
I see them.
we have one here from GAF for the 3128B Cranberry Highway, which one is that guy?
That is the, I keep forgetting the name, but it's up on 6 and 28 and Red Brick Road between
Oh, yeah, okay.
and Red Brick Road.
Right where the motel is that's going.
These are the,
Beyond that,
are these not the 5 duplexes? 10 duplexes?
something like that.
The 10
I forget
duplexes.
the name of the project.
Sutter's Glen.
That sounds right.
What is it?
Sutter's Glen, okay.
What was that? What was it?
Sutler's Glen.
Okay,
It's
Settlers.
my understanding that's the name of the project.
They did a presentation to the board a while back, I
Right.
think. It was
I
a really
remember
good
that. I just-
presentation.
The
Okay.
address and it
Yes,
didn't compute.
I know. You should put 3128B parentheses, Settlers Glen, for those of
Then
us
you
that
know.
don't know. But yeah, it's a good project.
Okay, that one's still ongoing, according to their thing. The next one is one from Tom Knapp for 83 Sandwich Road. Is that correct?
Well, that was presented to us also.
Yes, it was. And he hasn't done anything until he hears from us on whether or not he's gonna get it, so he wants it before he does anything.
He doesn't want, as I understand it, it's quite an investment, and so he's waiting for an approval to invest the money for the engineering, the plans, because it's a 40B project, so there's quite a bit of investment before he goes there. He doesn't want to spend all this money and then find out that we're not going to do anything.
Right.
Just, so that's why he's saying, hey, listen, let me know. I'm ready to go, but I need to know if you're going to allow me to get ready to go or to go. So that's his position.
How many units is that?
I forget, it was not that, there wasn't that many, 10? You
He's
remember,
looking to
Cindy?
put
12.
12 total units of a 40B application. It's in your document, you should see a sheet like this.
Oh, okay, thank you,
12 units.
thank you. Oh, 12 units, okay.
Where's 83 Sandwich Guy?
It's right across from the EMS building.
Oh,
Little kind
Down the
of-
hill in the...
Little Smith's building, Smith's
Sorry,
owned it for years.
down the
little
hall, on the hollow, there used to be a secondhand store, a white building.
yeah.
Yes, that's it, that site.
That little dingy building there?
Well, that's
Oh,
the
that's the
side of
land.
it.
It's got
Yeah.
that fence around it.
Yes.
Peter, do you know what we're talking
Is
about
that a
now?
forced main that you'd be tying into?
They're gonna tie into the catch, there's a manhole at the end, right around the EMS. There's a manhole that ends our project. They're gonna come out to the street and tie into that manhole. That's the plan. I haven't, I don't, to be frank with you, we haven't gotten that far, only because we may do grinder pumps, because we do have a policy that if you're gonna be in groundwater with pipes, we're gonna require grinder pumps. So I suspect when he starts doing the full engineering, digging and all that, we may find, we'll be involved, but we may find that it has to be grinder pumps. I can't speak right at this moment, but that's a very distinct possibility.
There's wetlands awful close to that lot line.
Yes.
Put that on as a condition. That policy?
You know where we're talking about, Donna?
I think we will.
Yeah,
That white
Yeah, I think that's,
ducky-looking building.
I know,
when we get
yeah.
the plans, I think we'll have to condition it at that point.
Yes. When we get to the actual planning all at that point in time,
Yeah.
we, as
We do
far
the
as that
we
goes, it's a
condition it then.
policy. There's no option there, so we'll definitely work closely with the engineer and make sure we get the right thing done.
The next victim on a response basis is Robinwood Road.
Can you go back, Jimmy? I don't see any projected gallons on that Sandwich Road.
Well, it's 12 total units, 2 bedrooms per unit.
330.
Wasn't that
Well,
many. So just do, I don't have my calculator, but it's 12 times 2 times 220. That's gallons. I don't have my phone either.
24,
We got an answer man over here.
2,400. Yeah,
2640?
2,600. Yeah, that sounds about
2640
right.
is the answer.
Sounds about right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Robinwood Road, they're looking at 3,000 gallons. And
now, Robinwood Road is what, how many units?
they're looking,
7, I believe?
Individual homes, 7 or 8, down where they bought the land by the seminary,
Yeah, okay.
off of Robinwood, yeah.
they're putting in a low-pressure sewer forced main.
They came before us in March.
Right.
I'm just looking for a count.
What's 3,000 gallons per day?
1,000 gallons.
7 4-bedroom homes.
Okay, it was 7, yeah.
7 4-bedroom homes?
Yep, 4,800, the note here says 4,800 gallons per day on my March minutes. I don't know where 3,000 came from.
Yeah, where'd that come from? 7 4-bedroom homes, that's not
They may
enough.
have done 3 bedrooms. They may have gone to
The
3. I'm not so
seven
sure.
4-bedroom home with 4,800 gallons per day.
So change that to 4,800?
So, yeah, I mean, those come from our minutes, so.
Yeah, okay.
3,100, maybe 3,200.
There was a name for this, and I can't remember
I
what
forget
it
too,
is.
something Heaven? Because Heaven was in there somehow, I forget. It's going to be a nice spot and a nice development, so they probably, Heaven had something to do with it. I remember seeing it.
So the rest of these, we get no response?
We did, Tower Terrace, remember that single-family home? They're going to go through
So when they're going through
someone's
Digger's
property to come to the sewer that's on Tower Terrace, and the house behind it, there's an easement been in place, and so it's a single-family dwelling, and they did respond. I got that email probably yesterday, and said, yes, they're moving forward. So that is moving forward.
So how many gallons is that gonna be?
I don't know, 330,
It says
something like that.
330 for a single
330.
family?
Yes, single family.
And how many single families?
One, it's
Oh,
one
just one.
building.
Oh, okay.
And the 7th one, which is the GATRA one, we didn't approve it until we reviewed it on June 10th. And at that time, we formally accepted the project.
If you don't mind, who accepted the project? I'm sorry. Did
We, sewer commissioners, on June 10th.
we accepted the project?
Yeah, number 7, GATRA,
okay.
expected value 1,000 to 5,000 gallons per day, and the note, it would be added to the master list. But the minutes for June 10th have not been completed,
No, you're right.
which is why it's not on this list, because she probably didn't know about it.
Yeah.
The approved, I was thrown by the word approved.
Yeah.
Approved to go on the list, not approved
to
the
be on,
gallons, yes.
accepted the project to be placed on the list.
I was,
All right.
I was confused. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we get the minor, what's the status with the minor forest? We have nothing other
Well, but one has 2 buildings up. They're getting ready to tap in. This
Tapping
one
in.
here, lots 1 and 3. 1 and 3, they've got the foundation in. So he didn't respond, but they definitely are working. The foundation's in on the upper, and the lower, they got 2 buildings up. So these are moving forward. These are actually in process of, and I think on lots 4 to 6, I think 2 units are already sold. And they're gonna close shortly, so. Because the water went in, and they're getting ready to do sewer. So, they gotta put I believe it's a $200,000 bond, so they can't tie till they get the bond in place and all that before they can tie into sewer.
But we've already approved all
We did.
those homes.
They're done.
So that's done. We're
That's
just
done.
asking approved projects, what's your status?
What's your status?
Yes, that's all that-
Where
yeah,
are you? What's
yeah.
going on? And so that's,
But I don't remember, Guy, are these gonna be cut into the main, or
They
are
are.
they going through the pump station?
no, they're going right into the main. Lots, I think it was 4 through 6 is gonna tie into the lower force main, which would become from Heinz Field and Depot Street.
Gotcha.
And that's an 18-inch force main. Lots 1 through 3 of the upper lots, I forget, or maybe it's the upper lots, are gonna tie into the force main. When it swings down, goes down the easement under the river, they're gonna tie in there. It's still an 18-inch force main, but it's called a Narrows force main, as they run parallel under the river into the treatment plant. So one's gonna do Heinz, and one's gonna do Narrows.
Okay, so neither one will have any impact on that pump station, on Minot, the one that's being abandoned.
My only impact on those would have been the pipe itself, because we know that Narrows is deteriorated, so that's why there's a lot of caution. When they tie in, there's that $200,000 bond, and we're suggesting that Heinz is in the same shape, so the same thing, a $200,000 bond, pump and truck and reputable, all that good stuff has to be done before they even tie in. We're not allowed to tie in until all that criteria is met.
Didn't we have this discussion once before?
We
And
did.
they were gonna use the same bond after they did the first connection?
Two separate.
Right, but they were gonna do it at 2 separate times?
Yes,
So they
so
could
the
just...
lower one, one that's close to the fire station, they're gonna tap in these 2 buildings, because they're building 3, but the third one is gonna be further out, so they can't tap into the same line. But there's talk, and I'll try to verify it. When I talked to one of the installers that they were talking to, he said they may bring that back down, because they're putting a manhole. They may leave a space for the third building and not tap in.
And
but
just
that
tap
hasn't-
in once?
Yes, that's what, so I hope they do. So we're still back and forth, depending on how much it would take to run it down, because these are all force mains, and so they'll make that decision when they get the third building up.
Okay,
But they do have permission to tap twice.
that would be beneficial.
Okay, Littleton Drive. That's the biggie.
Well, you know where Littleton Drive is. They hired someone to move this project forward. They have every intentions of moving it forward. Simple as that.
Okay. Of course, you could,
What they do, I don't know, but as far as the last I heard, that it's moving forward.
all right, so we'll go on that basis. And
They didn't get their funding at town meeting.
They didn't get the funding for, I'm told, as I understand it, for the function center for the elderly. That they didn't get.
I'm going to clarify, the CPC funds were for the full project, for the construction of the facilities. And there was never any intent of the CPC funds going directly to the clubhouse. It was to support, no, it was to support the total project. It was asked if you didn't get the 830,000, what would happen? And it was suggested by a town official that they may not do the clubhouse, but that was never the intent, that the CPA funds would be uniquely used for the clubhouse. It was all part of the project. So the project has to be scaled back, and that's one of the things that could very well be eliminated. It was never approved by CPC for a clubhouse.
I just
I-
repeating what I
You
heard
heard
at
what
meeting.
town meeting floor,
That's all I-
that was
that's why I
just,
got it, yes.
it's going to scale back, and that's one of the things that would be eliminated, including the sidewalks. But
Thanks for
I
the
just wanted to be
clarification.
clear,
That's good. I like
CBC
that.
never approved the funds for a clubhouse. It was for 10,000 for each one of the units. Sorry.
I'm glad,
You-
thanks for
you
the
wouldn't have
clarification.
approved- You wouldn't have approved funds for clubhouse anyway, would you?
No,
think
CPC,
so.
no, CPA funds would not be able
To
to be
fall
used
into
for
that.
that. Yeah.
Purview.
Depends what kind of clubhouse.
So
Oh, yeah,
will,
well,
So I don't know. If
where
they're
will
gonna,
they come out and tie in at Swift Beach Road?
at Middleton Drive.
Is that force main at that point?
They're going to, no, it's gravity. They're gonna take a force main because they're putting grinder pumps to that gravity manhole.
They're gonna put in gravity pumps and come into the,
Yes, they're gonna put a grinder pump system.
does that go through that Cranberry Estates there, or whatever the hell it's called?
Littleton Drive is a little leg, actually, Littleton Drive is all the way back out to Cremisa, but Littleton Drive is right, if you're coming from 6, it's a, I forget, maybe the second, maybe the third right. It's a little short road.
first right coming down Swift Beach Road.
This is the first?
Oh,
You know
okay.
where Brown goes off a little bit?
Yeah.
and
Brown,
Yep.
then the other one.
A couple of hundred yards further down, it's a right
You
angle.
know, that's right. So
Up
beyond,
Swiss
Out that way?
it's
up
a, it's a
Swiss Beach?
T right, it's right
Yeah.
there. So
Okay.
there's, at the end of Littleton Drive, there's a manhole. That's the manhole they're gonna tie into. Which is, and that's where all that land is, so. All the surveying's been done, and design, so they've done all that, and, but to scale back, I have no idea. So these gallons may change.
So they didn't get the funding from CPC, so that means they can't put the pool table in, is that right?
Well, the pools, I don't know.
No,
It's a pretty, yeah, I don't want to belittle the project for sure, but I misunderstood on the town meeting floor. That's why I said what I said, because it was stated on the town meeting floor. And I think if it was on the town meeting floor, it had to be at least close to what the truth was.
Okay, 3013 Cranberry Highway, which is,
Isn't that the, isn't that?
that's the
one of
car
poles?
wash,
Oh, the car wash.
where
right.
99 is.
Thank you.
oh, okay.
Oh. How's that gonna affect the other car wash?
I have no idea. It's competition.
Competition, I don't know.
I don't know.
That's the one that's 5,600 gallons? That's Ford
I believe
Realty?
it was, yes, sir.
Yeah, 5,600.
Yes, sir.
Is that all approved?
Yeah,
Well, they're all ready to go, just
We
once,
What do you mean approved?
no, I said it's all ready to go. It's in the, it was proved to be into the queue.
Oh,
It's in the
okay.
queue.
It hasn't been approved by, hasn't come before conservation.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's a lot of other entities, but we voted in April 22nd to put it on our, no, April 8th to put it on our list.
right,
Gotcha.
okay, so that's still in, that's moving. Oak Street,
I got a letter from Oak Street stating that the gentleman should be starting in September.
Those are two, was it 2 or 3 family, 2
I thought it was one,
single?
I thought it was one single, but I could be wrong. I thought a single lot, he split it. For his
Yeah,
lot,
I
they
think it's
split it.
gonna, yeah.
I think it's one single family, to my recollect, but
I know it's up the hill and will wash down into the boat ramp.
which one is this?
the house or the dirt?
Sorry, Jimmy?
Which one is this?
Which one?
Which one?
Oak Street.
Well, we
Is-
had a set of plans presented by GAF.
Yeah.
And they were gonna split a lot and then tie the second lot to sewer. And they were gonna go through one lot, the other lot, and sewer it. This was.
It's just putting a single-family home on a large lot on
No, I
Oak
realize
Street.
that, I understand, but is that in our queue, and which one is it?
It is in the queue. I don't see it here, but it was
I
put in
don't
the
see it
queue.
here either, yeah.
I thought we already approved it.
Oh, then you could be right, because that's probably what's, but we did
Okay.
discuss it. I
remember-
apologize, I
I
wasn't.
remember
It's
we
Oak
had that
Street,
discussion on this
one
one.
family home?
One family
Actually, you're right,
home.
it was approved for the one family.
Yeah.
Yes, we already approved the tie-in.
Okay, so this one doesn't fit into that.
No,
Well, it's the same thing of all the others that have been approved. What's your status?
we just sent it to everybody, and it's, I apologize for that, but we just wanted to know what was going on.
Now, is that the same for this assisted living?
Yes, they're moving forward on that project. She has no time frame, but it's definitely moving forward.
And which one, is that on the queue?
No, it's been
it's approved.
approved.
That's the one we've already
Approved.
approved.
We've
Okay,
approved
that's what I
it. 20 years
thought.
ago.
I knew we had a discussion.
It's just
on one of
waiting
them.
for approval from planning or zoning or one of them. Because they didn't like the height or something like that, because they want to put
Where is this going?
on the corner of 6 and 28, you know how they come up to this, by the church, where 6 comes up and merges with 28?
Yeah.
Where that burnt-out building was for such a long time ago, boarded-up building?
Drapers-
And it looked nice
There.
there, too. It was really a
Yeah,
nice,
right-
it was
oh,
a
right
nice
there.
landmark.
Sorry.
It was a nice landmark. I'm sorry they got
Yes,
rid of it.
the
They should've-
building with the black windows.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's the
that's
one.
where it's going.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Right across from Campino Way, right
Yep,
across.
yep.
directly across.
I know exactly.
I wasn't going to give you that credit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, but I think right now there's an issue with zoning or planning on the height of the building.
Okay, at this particular juncture, do we want to remove the moratorium on these pieces and authorize them based on the information we've gotten in from Russ?
Mr. Chairman, I think they're all good projects, and we had a report that says we can move forward to these. It's just after this batch, we have to talk about the next, as they come forward, we may have to do the same process.
Okay,
I mean, right now, we're looking at 180,000 gallons per day is our limit, which exceeds the request that's in front of us. The request in front of us exceeds the 180,000 we have available, so we can't approve all if we go with the recommendation of what's the plant can handle. Because at last meeting, we were told 180,000, because if we looked at the projects, not counting GATRA, we are over by 66,000 gallons per day, not including GATRA.
I think, I have to revisit that report, but I think these were included, some of them were included, some weren't, and the ones that we already approved were already included, taken out, so I would have to review that. But I remember, or I thought, that all these projects were good to go into.
Well,
what's our-
Can we
what's
make
our-
sure we
what's
can
our-
double check
what's our-
this?
What's our gallonage for GATRA?
they were saying
5,000.
1,000 to 5,000 gallons per day, because they were looking at a place for washing their vehicles. So we haven't really got, I don't think we've got a good understanding as to how they're going to handle that. But at the last meeting,
Okay,
we had expected $180,000, but we've committed to, in this list without GATRA, 246,000 gallons. So we're overcommitted
in this list?
in this
This is
list.
about 32,000,
I was gonna say, that's only about.
This list right here.
I don't know where the heck that number's coming from,
Well-
Sandy.
about 32,000.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the minute, my notes from the June 10th meeting.
I'm not disputing that at all. All I'm
Russ,
saying is-
can we ask Russ if he can
That's what I
remember
was gonna
what
say.
our commitments were? Because it was his report at the last meeting that I've got my notes on. That we've overcommitted.
No, we're not overcommitted.
I recall that as well.
Okay, I'm looking
I don't have the report, I
at
apologize.
rounding mine off.
Does anybody have that report on?
I have it memorized at
No.
this stage.
Oh, you got it
Verbatim.
memorized? Never mind, he's got it
Verbatim,
memorized.
no.
I don't
Good-
have the report.
Good evening, Russ Kleekamp, engineer with GHD. So correct, the remaining capacity at the plant, we have estimated or recommended that 180,000 gallons per day is what we can bring into the plant at this time. The commitments did exceed that. There were some large commitments. Remember, we have to honor the 100,000 gallons per day remaining for the town of Bourne. The other various commitments that we discussed and included in that memorandum was a total list of all the projects that we had coming up, and the committed flows did exceed the availability. But a lot of these projects, like we've been discussing, are several years out. So at this stage of the game, the projects you have in front of you, I believe that list totals about 20 or 30,000. We know we have remaining capacity, whether we do a first-come, first-served type deal. We keep an eye on that as that 180,000 starts to get lower and lower and lower. we then either have to entertain another moratorium or planning or another method to deal with that. But when your commitments exceed your capacity, it just tells you that, okay, at some point, expansion is coming. If we don't start planning that expansion, then, you know,
Okay,
Okay,
on
here's,
this list we've got in front of us right now, on the high side, we're looking at 40,000 gallons.
but what we have is that already in the queue was queued projects, okay, this is about 37,000 in the queue. But he's talking about Bourne for 100,000, Robinson's Delta Denta for 6,000, Bay Point for 27,000, Great Hill Park for 20,000, Woodland Cove for 32. This is a long list, and he says with what has already been in the queue but not implemented, plus this wish list, we were at 246,330 gallons per day. So it isn't just this list, it's things that we've already committed to that has not been implemented. Like the 1320 for the Minot Forest condominiums, the 330 for the single-family home on 240 Oak Street, the single-family on 14 Tremont Street, the units at Chapel Lane for 1,700. The assisted living is out there for 10,140 a day. So this is a long list that we got at the last meeting. Then you put this on top of it, where we have more than we can handle. Sorry.
what I could add to that is that, you know, that list, those are the numbers that were literally given to GHD. You know, we talked with the superintendent, said, what projects do you have coming up? He says, we have this project, it's 10,000 gallons per day. Those estimates, I'm fairly certain that they use the Title V sizing, which is a conservative way to do it. For example, a single-family home, we're talking 330 gallons per day. When you look at the numbers for actual water use for residential homes, it's closer to 150 gallons per day, because we've looked at the water use for hundreds, if not thousands, of residential lots and communities all around this area. So those numbers, I'm saying, may be conservative. I don't know where the calculations came from, so I can't say with 100% certainty, but most of the times when a development happens, the engineer will use the Title V sizing methodology, which is based, I believe, on like a maximum day flow. It's conservative in nature. So the other reason why we're saying first come, first serve is because a lot of those flows, you may not see 5,000 gallons from it. They may have calculated 5,000, but in actuality, it may be less than that. Maybe more than that, but it shouldn't be. But for all these, the housing units, the Littleton Drives, and all these that are using the standard Title V, that's probably a conservative estimate, which is good because we're being conservative. But once it gets tied in, we reevaluate the flows coming into the plant, and that flow memorandum is a living document. You know, every time you get a new project or one gets completed, we have to change that list, and it's going to come out with a new total, what the capacity has left at the plant. You know, as of the date of that memorandum, it was 180,000 gallons per day. If you get projects A, B, and C tie in, it could be 170,000 gallons per day. Or they could come in with a way lower flow than they originally anticipated, because your single-family house only has one person living in it, and they're using 60 gallons a day, not 330. Doesn't seem like much, a few hundred, but if you have 15, 20, 100 properties like that, it all adds up. So, I guess the advice I'm giving, or I'm thinking, is that we know we have 180,000 remaining. Entertain a first come, first serve. Keep a very close eye on the flows, and then keep that document updated on a monthly basis, or every time a project's completed, really. I mean, we can set up a running spreadsheet that can do this, you know, rapidly, or work with WPCS staff to have them updated, or we can update it however we want to do it. But you're right, this is going to change probably every meeting. We have these projects all the time. Every time I open up Wareham Week, there's some new project. You know, this coming, that's coming, you know. So we have to stay on top of it and just be diligent. But the good news is you have a good chunk of capacity. It will be likely used up at some point between now and 3, 4, 5 years from now. And once we hit that number, that 180, once we come close to it, there's really no more Band-Aids at the plant we can do. You know, we put these equalization basins in to help fend off the I&I, which was a big concern. Again, this is a dry year. But once you get to that capacity of the 1.56, then it's really time to either reach out to DEP, start talking about permit modification, or look at our other alternatives. So,
based on everything that you know and what you've said thus far, would you recommend us approving what we have in the queue right now with the exception of GATRA because it's got such a widespread
I would.
numbers?
I would. I think that list was a total, 30,000 gallons.
Yeah, 37, I think, max, the high side.
Yeah, we've, you know, with the basins in and online, that really gives me much more of a level of comfort with if we do get these unanticipated I&I flows, whereas before that caused a violation, now it won't cause that violation. So we can manage it, we can deal with it. There's no need in keeping this moratorium any longer. Let's get development going, get new users tied in, keep pushing forward.
Well, that was going to be my second question, part of my question here.
Well,
If we do that, would you recommend that we reinstitute the moratorium for 6 months and reassess it at that point in time with usages?
Repeat the question, please? I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Eliminate the present
Lean forward
moratorium
into the
by
mic, please.
getting
I
things
can't,
out.
Jimmy, I
Wait a
can't even
minute,
hear
wait a
you.
minute. Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I can't hear you. Thank you.
Can you hear with this?
Yes, thank
Does that
you.
help? All right, I'm sorry. Hello, excuse me. My fault. We authorize what's in the queue currently with the exception of GATRA because it's so open-ended and they don't have anything that's viable to deal with at the moment, as far as I can see. Eliminate the existing moratorium and reestablish the moratorium going forward for 6 months and reestablish a new queue and look at it at that point in time and see where we are with usage, inflows, in order to stay ahead of it rather than play catch-up with it after the fact.
My question, Mr.
Go right ahead.
Mr. Chairman, is I'm pretty, I'm very confident with Russ and his group. And I know things are changing in the town and people are leaving and people are coming, okay? I really believe that we should have them keep track of the flow and what we've got to, that way we have something that's,
They're going to be keeping track of it.
well, I'm just saying, he said they could if we asked them to, okay?
Will you?
Instead of having the personnel at the sewer plant, they can work with them, but you have the master sheet. But I want, I'm really concerned about moving forward, and are we looking at what possibilities we're gonna look into for expansion? We should be looking at it now.
We are.
We are.
Okay.
We are.
We're looking at all of that right now.
Decentralization.
Well, I know we're looking at
No,
the
we got
tie-in
some-
at the Mass Maritime and all that.
But
I
we're
know
looking
that.
at- We're
But
also
other
looking.
things.
Okay.
We're looking at decentralization, we're looking at groundwater discharge, we're
Absolutely.
looking at...
Yeah, no, I know,
We're looking
but-
at, it's not that we're burying our heads, I'm saying right now at the present time, with everything that we've got in that list in front of you, the projects that are ongoing, some of them completed, and there's more to be added to it.
Well, I'm just concerned with the changes that might be happening in the sewage
Well, I think-
department. And
Changes. So if I may, Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
just to help out, we're looking at a decentralized wastewater plant in West Wareham. Remove the flow coming from the industrial park, the trailer park, which is approximately 87,000 gallons per day. It won't go to the plant. So there's 87,000 gallons a day. So and that we feel, and we truly believe that we could do that in 2-3 years in talking to the Buzz Bay Coalition, the Department of Environmental Protection, so that's a viable plan. And so that's one. And the DEP does want us to grab all the trailer parks that are failing. I think Cumberland Farms just failed in West Wareham, their sewer system. So it's quite a nightmare to the head of the Weewantic River. It's something we can't ignore because it's really impacted. So we are working diligently to get that done. So that's one. There's other things we're trying to do to grab flows. that are presently coming to the plant to alleviate the pressures to the plant, as we're looking at expanding the plant to make sure it can do its full 2 million gallons a day, and also expanding the outfall to the river from 1.56 to 2 million gallons. So all that stuff is in place. So we're hoping in 2 to 3 years, when all these projects start to come to fruition, all these things are in place. So it's kind of a parallel project, us trying to get more flow and trying to keep development within the community. So it's kind of a crazy thing, but that's what we're doing.
Mr. Chair, I went back and looked at the capacity analysis done on June 8th, and the $5,000 for GATRA was included in those numbers. GATRA was included in that report as 5,000 gallons per day.
Is that what they've,
That's what they projected, 1 to 5, so I think we put 5.
So it has been accommodated in these numbers from last meeting.
Yeah, I do, but I think the point that Mr. Chair was making is that there's nothing viable with GATRA. It's just a conversation. I'd like to see something from them that's saying, hey, we'd like to do this, and you may have it,
Can
I
we
don't.
also say that about anything else here?
Yes, most of these have plans, they've presented, they've got real live, something they're doing. GATRA was, we'd like to do that. I think it's a good project. I'm not saying it's a bad project, but it was, to me, it's nothing been more than, hey, we'd like to do that. And I was waiting. I think at one point they said, go to Plymouth and see it. That's kind of like what we'd like to do. But look at these projects. Tom Knapp, they presented a set of plans. They got some ideas. He's trying to get his costs. The project
Okay,
40B.
got it, yeah.
So that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I think just to answer a few questions, of course, we'll keep an eye on the flow. We work very closely with Guy, probably talk to him more times in a week than he probably wants to. So of course, we're working on, we'll keep an eye on the flows. I would not have any concerns about lifting the moratorium. I wouldn't at this time, and the only reason I'm saying that is because, A, that list you have in front of you that's showing roughly 30,000 gallons is probably likely going to be lower than that. B, even if one of these larger, we want to sewer this trailer park, we want to sewer this area or that area, a large area. To build the infrastructure that it's going to take to sewer that area is probably a year-long, multi-year-long process. You have to design all that infrastructure. That's probably a year-long. So it's not like someone's going to come in tomorrow and say, okay, I got 20,000 gallons ready to go. Those areas of expansion, I mean, and if we look at the other residential areas in town that have been identified, I mean, those are 8-figure construction contracts. We have to go through the SRF process, what we just did for it took a couple of years to do. So even though we know these big projects are coming, even today, if they got started, they're still years out. We have time, and we have time to be nimble and react to that. We're doing everything, we're planning all these avenues for expansion. So I wouldn't, as of today's date, as far as reinstituting a moratorium, I don't think we need to consider that right now.
all right?
We definitely just still want to keep an active, we have 180,000 gallons starting today. Every project that gets tied in, you check it off the queue and say, okay, they projected 500 gallons, now we have 179,500. And then we go back and look at the flows, and the flows, project less than that. We can say, okay, well, maybe we still have 180 that we're getting less flow. So you just keep an eye on it. So I wouldn't have a discussion about reinstituting a moratorium for now. I think today is a good time to say, let's lift it. Let's start getting projects being tied in. We'll do work with Guy, keep an eye on the flows. Major projects that contribute large flows do not happen overnight. It takes, whether it's a municipal project or a large development, they have to go through multiple boards, multiple approvals, a lot of engineering, all sorts of stuff. The projects that move quickly typically have less flows. Yes, ma'am?
No, I was trying to get his attention, because when you were done, I wanted to say something.
So I'll end it there. I don't think we need to, and Guy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we need to talk about reinstituting a moratorium after this list in front of us has been completed. I think we can still.
Well, I agree, because here's the thing. As projects come, they have to get approved before they even considered, whether it's through a moratorium or through a debate. Every project will come to you, you'll review the gallons, where we are, the whole 9 yards, and that'll be part of your decision-making process. That's how I look at it. So I think it'll be a close, watched process as people come forward with projects.
Yeah, we're going to have to watch it a lot closer than we have been in the past.
My biggest concern, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I apologize, is when people add to their homes on sewered areas, 2-bedroom cottages become 8-bedroom homes or 7-bedroom homes. That's my concern, because I have no control of that.
Like
no
that-
control.
It's like that house,
That is my
that
more
house on
concern
Oak
than-
Street.
than contracts.
That house on Oak Street.
Oak Street, gee, 'cause down in, Oak Street's gone crazy. I mean crazy. I'm afraid to evaluate the gallons out of Oak Street. Parkwood, there's 7-bedroom homes going, there's brand-new 4-bedroom homes, and there were 2-bedroom cottages. It's happened like crazy. Go to Rose Point. Those homes have been 2-bedroom cottages for years. Now they're 5-bedroom homes, 4-bedroom homes. And I can go on and on and on. That's unaccounted flow.
And
we
they're
have no
now,
stop.
and they're now year-round as opposed to
year-round, and
seasonal. So
Those-
that's, yeah.
something I think is something we should really look at and figure out how we're going to handle that.
You had something you wanted to say?
I would like us to approve the 6 that are on this list and start another list on hold. Because I am very concerned about the 50 or 60 units being proposed for Tremont Nail. I don't want it just automatically. I want it on a whole list, along with GATRA. They haven't come before us, I know that, but they're talking about having those units, and I would like to
That's fine.
stop, hold, step back, where are we, and look at it.
That, very good point. That ties into exactly what I was saying. While we can lift the moratorium and start bringing in the projects we have in the queue, we really need to make it known, I would say to all the department heads in town, that although we're lifting the moratorium, we are still overcommitted.
We still have a
So-
queue that you're gonna have to face.
When Tremont Nail comes with all this beautiful project, waterfront has all this awesome stuff, so, well, wait a second, you have all these projects before you, you're proposing this, and there could be other, large
There is
developments.
something in the works for that land off of Glen Charlie.
So
I mean,
that-
the numbers I've heard for those have just been eye-opening.
And we really,
That'll be decentralized.
But,
I hear what you're saying.
okay,
No, I hear what you're saying.
but we do need to stress with the other departments that we are still in an overcommitted state, so, because we're lifting the moratorium, please don't open the floodgates and.
Well, that was my point right there. Are the other boards still going to keep us, and, they didn't, they finally took a look when we put the moratorium in place.
That's how we got in this position in the first
Exactly.
place, so.
Okay,
If we have to, we'll reinstitute the moratorium. If they don't wanna let us
Mm-hmm.
know, then we'll reinstitute the moratorium. That's simple.
Mr. Chairman, to Commissioner Slavin's point, whether we call it a moratorium or not, every project from this day forward has to go into some sort of queue for
I would-
evaluation.
Just automatically. Peter?
Sandy, how about we approve 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6, leave 3 out, because they don't expect to be hooking up until 2023.
my impression is that they need to be able to confirm they have sewer in order to proceed with some of their funds availability and loans and things like that.
yeah.
Yep.
That's,
So will all these other projects,
but not to the,
like
not,
Tremont Nail.
well,
Yeah, but these people are in the queue already.
but Tremont Nail has given us nothing other than, oh, maybe we could, put
Well, what
homes.
have we got from Littleton?
We have plans.
Yeah.
We have detailed plans on that project. And they need to be able to confirm that they have sewer availability to continue getting their funding from the state agencies.
They alone amount to 50%
Yes,
of
yes.
what's on the queue.
I know.
Yep.
That may change, Commissioner Dunlop, because of their lack of funding. I'm not sure,
Oh,
but
800,000 doesn't mean a drop in the bucket,
Doesn't.
considering for their total project
so it's
cost.
still going to be the same amount of,
They're not changing their, I have seen nothing changing the number of units they're being proposed.
Okay.
But 800,000 was just enough to say, hey, the town supports the affordable housing and we need to pay 270 to a redevelopment authority.
A
That's,
bribe.
sorry, that's
that's
off
another-
topic,
that's another-
off
that's
topic.
another-
Yeah.
it's another discussion. Anyways, okay.
Okay, then moving forward on this, do I have a motion to release this gallonage for 1 through 6?
So moved.
You got 7 too, right?
No, GATRA's not on here.
Oh, okay.
Gatra, I'm holding off.
1 through 6, I support that emotion. I move that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so we're gonna authorize those 4, that's 400.
Can I ask a
Gatra
question?
starts the new queue.
The,
Yes.
the nursing home that's closing up over here, what's gonna happen with that?
I have no idea. It's interesting because the folks that have that nursing home wanted to continue, and the owner said absolutely not. So,
Well, I mean, that
so
would,
I'm
that
thinking
would
he's
free
got
up an
something.
awful lot of gallons if it's not a nursing home.
What was their gallon per day?
I don't know. It was significant. I'll get it for you.
We just don't know what's going in there.
It's significant. So we have no, but again, it's a change of use. We'll have to go, it's all change of uses come to the department, have to review it, see what it is. So if they're going to exceed the gallons that's there now, then this board will have to make,
Oh, yeah. We need gallons for the new police station. And haven't seen those plans or what they expect.
so I don't know. That's a good question. We should
When are we
follow
gonna
it.
see the meter from onset, the readings? I mean, from, Bourne?
That's, we just got the pricing on it. That'll be, I'm thinking in a couple weeks, it'll be up and running. We're putting one by the highway that comes from the pump station downtown. We're putting one just beyond the Cohasset manhole, which comes from Hideaway Village. And so we're all set. We're moving forward on that. I'll say 2 weeks, maybe a month the max, a month.
Okay.
But it's a good project. It's a real good project. So it's, time is now. Time is right.
Okay. All right, that's done. Superintendent's report. Sir.
He doesn't have a whole lot, really. I mean, there's a lot, but there's not a lot. First of all, I don't know if you all got the memo or saw the thing for your annual report. I don't know if the board wants to do an annual report as to what the board has been doing. If you choose to do that, it has to be in by July 31.
I didn't see that.
It's up to Jimmy.
It's up to Jimmy. Jimmy has to do
I
some
didn't
writing.
see that, but I will.
I have a copy of mine. I'll give it to you. It's the same thing, but the board has the right to, and I will write something.
It will be in your mailbox on Town
I think I
Hall.
saw it there. It's pink.
I pulled
okay,
mine
well,
out of there for CPC, so.
Pink, so yeah, I thought I saw it there, but
If you see
Mine
it,
was
grab it.
yellow.
no, mine was pink.
Oh,
If you see it, grab it.
Okay. Yeah, mine was
I
pink.
never remember to even look in that.
You got a yellow?
yes.
I got a pink.
That's because it matches her hair.
So, so I'm going to write something for the department, but I would suggest if you
Right.
could get together, Jimmy could write it, but I think if you have any input, it'd be nice to let
Definitely.
folks know how hard you've been working diligently to solve some of the issues. It's important that the public realize what you've actually been doing. It's a little letter or something I think would be a great idea. One of the things that I wanted to bring up tonight that's always a stickler, staffing. Monday I had 2 people at the plant. Today I had 2 people at the plant. Our staffing is 18.5. That's our requirement. I had 2. And of course, 1 extra, my manager, so it's 2 staff plus my manager to do the pump stations, to check the lines, and to run the plant. And I was there. So it's an issue, and I've brought it up to the town, and everybody's aware, and the industry's struggling, so we don't need to go there. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I've been looking into, is privatization as far as getting personnel in. I've talked to a bunch of companies, read a bunch of contracts, read a bunch of RFQs, RFPs, the whole 9 yard. And I'm meeting with Tom next Tuesday. I'm going to bring all that forward. We have to do something. We're required by law to staff. I do a monthly report that puts my staffing in it, and I put what we have. I think we have a total of 7 personnel out back. So it's kind of crazy, and I don't want anything to happen and reflect on the town that we cannot staff. All right, that's just the bottom line. I've been losing staff for the last year to private contractors. They come, we train them, and they leave for more money. It's consistent. It's like a revolving door, and it hasn't stopped. And you need to do something, because without staffing, we have a major problem. We had a backup, I think it was Wednesday, maybe Tuesday, in Onset. Turned out to be the clubhouse itself for the new, I think it's Buzzards Bay Coalition, in conjunction with the town, that building. I was worried because they had no one in to run the jet rotor. If I had to attack a blockage in the street, I would have had to hire a contractor and wait for them to get there. It got me a little nervous. So staffing becomes critical. We're trying to have another labor starting, I think, the 8th of July. It's been a grind. So I'm suggesting privatization to look at, because staffing is critical, and make that the responsibility of a private company. And it is a common thing happening in the industry today, Massachusetts and surrounding states. Everybody's going private because it makes more sense. So I'm going to present that. I'll talk to Tom.
Guy, why was it backed up? What caused the backup?
Well, gee, if I say publicly, it'd be a nightmare, but it was a blockage coming out of the building, so we're good.
Out of the building?
Yes, because
So
the street was good.
the wrong things are being flushed.
Wrong things are being flushed, and I can never emphasize that. We keep deragging pumps. I don't want to be, just keep beating a dead horse, but people are flushing everything and anything, and I'm telling you, it's crazy. And the pumps can't take it, the lines can't take it. I've got restaurants with no traps that are old. I've got 12% of all grease comes from homes. And so you put grease with non-flushables and bends in the line, yeah, it's not a pretty picture.
So when you cook your bacon, wipe your pan out
Absolutely.
and put that in the trash as opposed to washing it in the sink. I have
You're
to make
supposed
sure.
to save the bacon grease. That's good
Say
stuff.
that to Alan
Yeah, that's
frequently.
also the birds.
All right.
Wipe out the
Absolutely.
pan.
We're getting a
Sorry.
little off.
So anyways, so staffing's an
What
issue.
kind of money difference would it be to privatize?
I don't know. I'm looking to get within the same budget I'm spending now, maybe a little bit more, nothing significant. That's what I'm looking for. And I won't know until I put out RFQ. RFQ allows us to bring people in and discuss. Make sure they're qualified, then we can discuss pricing. It's an open discussion. We'd get a panel involved, maybe somebody from here, somebody from the selectman's office, the town administrator's office, maybe the accountant, and just go back and forth and discuss money. That's where that comes in.
I mean, how can you expect to do it for the same kind of money if we can't keep the help?
Well, no, they're going to pay more money because, again, what I've offered privately, so here's one. So everything's a cost. We spend tons of money on benefits. That's a cost. The same benefits aren't offered in the private world, so that's a decreased cost. So they could take the money they save on benefits and give it to people in their paycheck, and that's more appealing than I can give you tremendous benefits that you can't eat or pay your bills or buy groceries, but if I cut your benefits, as an example, we get 14, 15 holidays. A private concern gets maybe 5 or 6. That's a tremendous saving because those are hours you're paying for, you get no production. They get productions. There's a lot of ways that they save money to make it so they can pay staff more than we pay. Vacations and sick time, we give 15, they may give 3. Personal time, it goes on and on and on and on. So they're more looking at labor and cost of labor and less to benefits. That's where they can save, and that's why they can pay more.
Have you talked to Derek?
I have.
And what's he looking?
He's authorized me to go forward and look into it.
Oh, okay.
So I'm looking into it, and this has been open notorious. I've sent emails. I try my very best to be transparent.
Your
because I think
budget,
it's the only way.
your budget already contains funds to handle something like this anyhow. It's just in a different line item.
Different line. I think we're fine. I think we're fine.
What about going to Weston and Sampson and just,
I have 2 staff from Western Sampson every single day come in. They do a half a day. And
you can pay them half a day?
no, yeah, half a day. 2 persons a half a day. That's what I'm paying them, and it's $800 a day. It's $100 an hour.
We privatized our cleaning services, and it saved us tremendously.
It's the way you do business. That's all it is. It's the way you do business. So I wonder, because if something were to happen, and I have 2 staff, and I can't react, and I have a major spill to the ocean, somebody's going to get angry. And somebody's going to come down here, whether it be the EPA or DEP, and I've talked to the EPA, DEP, let them know my position, the position we're in, because it's critical. It's no longer acceptable. It's critical.
Didn't we just get approval at town meeting to buy a jet vac?
We did.
And now we don't have anybody that can run it?
Well, yeah.
You gotta have somebody run it.
Is that about what we're saying?
Yeah.
Well, I have, the 2 people I'm at, we're trying to move forward to get licenses for the people that are here. Remember, the 2 people were there, but I've got 8 staff because between vacations and all the other times off, I had a guy that took 2 vacations he had to take because he'd lose them. And so when you get up against it, I got guys that accumulate a lot of time and it's limited, so everybody's got to go. I can't stop them because I don't want them to lose their time. So that week you have no staff. And what the EPA and DEP suggest, and towns don't like it, is every position you hire 1.5 staff, only because they know we have a lot of vacation, a lot of time off, and you need to account for that. Because people take time off. They have it. They take it. So you still got to maintain full staffing. You know what's required. So there's all those issues swirling around. But we're at a critical mass. We're at a critical state. And I try to say no. Hey, do you really need this time off? we're short-staffed, and yeah, I do. So it's a difficult situation. So we're moving forward. I just wanted the board to be aware because we are trying to do something, and it is an issue. It is an issue. The other thing I want to mention real quick, one Kinko, that line is failing. We all know that. It's failed. It's in pretty much trouble. So we're looking to grinder that area. We're looking to do 5 roads, everything that ties into the Ruggles from that side. The gallons I haven't done yet, but they're significant. And here's the key I'd like to express, is that once we do grinder pumps, there's no infiltration, there's no inflow, because the system cannot take it. So whatever gallons that were going there now, we won't get any of those sump pumps, and we won't get any of the groundwater coming out of those pipes that are deep. We just eliminate them. So as we continue throughout the town of Wareham and some of these developments, and we require grinder pumps, we remove I&I and we remove inflow, and that becomes usable gallons. That's part of our capacity, because inflow and infiltration sucks up a lot of our capacity. And so
Right.
those are things we're trying to do moving
Guys,
forward
guys, so
also.
they understand what you're actually saying is that we do the grinder pumps on the whole area he's talking about, the piping that would go in would only be 4 feet down instead of 17 feet down.
And they're also
sorry.
one pipe.
Yeah, but that's
The piping would be 4 feet below the ground instead of 17 feet down, therefore eliminating that water problem that exists at the present time.
And the other thing about these systems is they're forced mains, so the pipes are solid, there's no joints. So there's no way water can get into them. And the grinder pumps cannot take the flow from a sump pump. And so that means you can't put your sump pump, you'll overwhelm it, so you just can't do it. And also something I liked is that on the back side of those grinder pumps, you can put flow meters. And so we can get a good idea of what's really happening out there as far as flow from these buildings. So it's a win-win-win-win, because as we move forward on EDUs, we have a real number of gallons, because we'll have houses that are actually producing and giving us actual flow. So in the long term, and we're a seaside community, and I know some folks out there don't like grinder pumps, et cetera, but infiltration and inflow cuts capacity.
So-
I'm sorry.
So you want a policy that stipulates that all connections henceforth have to be grinder pumps?
We've done
We
that.
have a policy
Already
that
have it.
says any pipe that's below the water table in that area, new connections have to be grinder pumps.
Yeah.
They
We've
have
already
to.
Yeah, but what about every place?
Well, I think we're going to vet it, like we're doing one Kinko. I'm looking at North Boulevard area and Onset, that whole area there, because all those pipes are floating. They're old clay pipes, 4-footers, and they're literally floating, and we get a tremendous influence. We'll get that area. And I think we'll strategically move throughout the town, grabbing these areas that give us significant, we have a report, significant infiltration and inflow, and getting rid of that, especially the inflow, because it's the sump pumps that kill us the absolute most. If we can get rid of sump pumps, this is one way of doing it. We can so over these 4 years, we may be able to.
How do we get a grinder pump into a home?
Put it on the side of the road.
No, who goes to pay, who's going to pay for the grinder
We haven't
pump?
talked about that.
And how do you enforce a grinder pump for an existing system? Then what do you do when the power's out with a grinder
well,
pump?
we have them now. When the power goes up, we take our truck around and empty them. So we do that now. That's not a big deal. Electricity, I think people are concerned. In electricity, if you go for more than a couple, 3 days, we'll be out there emptying you. The thing about emergency, here's what troubles me. Power's out, so I shouldn't be showering, I shouldn't be doing things, and we'll keep you running, but it doesn't mean, hey, let me just keep filling it. I think at home, most of us are conservative during a power outage. We say, well, it's power outage, we're conservative. We're saying to folks with grinder pumps, when power's out, we'll come empty it, but do us a favor. Don't take 5 showers a day, or everybody be conservative.
out, they don't have any hot water anyway.
Absolutely, so that's a good point. We
Guy,
just said gas, but
when you
anyways.
say empty it, that's, you're bringing the grinder pumps out
We
a
take a
temporary
generator on a
generator.
truck.
So
Yep.
it-
We bring it there, we
energizes
fire
it.
it up, empty the tank, and we just go along and do that.
How big is, physically, how big a area are you talking between the tank and the grinder?
What do you mean?
the actual grinder
That the
pump.
people have to figure into their project?
So the grinder pump is probably a 5 or 6 foot opening, maybe a 3 or 4 foot circumference, radius, and probably down 9 feet, 8 feet, totally solid like a tank to give you, and the deciding factor is how much capacity do you want? It's your choice. I always recommend 9 feet because it gives you more capacity per day. I think we had a presentation on this stuff.
Where do we currently have grinder pumps? Didn't we insist that,
Awkward. We have them.
Every home in,
Oak Street.
every home in Parkwood has a grinder pump?
No, only the low areas. These are the old projects. The low areas in
Okay.
Parkwood. I think
And,
it's
and
Oak Street.
there's nothing low at Oak Street except for 2 houses. Everything's up. But
We have grind, I think 4
don't
or
we
5.
have grinder pumps at Bay Point for the new
No.
homes, for the new homes?
No,
That didn't get approved?
Planning board said absolutely not, and they're building this big
sorry.
old pump station that's
So
gonna be a
we
mess.
don't have a whole lot of grinder
We have,
pumps.
I think 40, 37 or 40.
40.
We have them, yeah, 40 grinder pumps, I believe. We got them in,
For 20,000
Cremisa.
homes. Sorry.
Well, I mean, we did those because we couldn't gravity. It should be
So-
standard policy.
But we have very few now. We're looking at increasing the number of grinder pumps in our low areas around beaches.
Absolutely.
So there has to be a way of funding them,
We're finding that, we're looking for
that
that.
type of thing. So
Yes.
just keep it on the, I guess,
I
please
do.
keep it on the plate, because,
The one we're doing now, that's going to be funded through retained earnings, because I have to. Kinko's failed. I have no choice.
Yep.
That line has failed. So I don't want to dig another deep line at millions.
so
and
how
still
many
have-
homes are along Waukegan that have to be grinder pumped?
We're doing Kinko, and once I do Kinko, I have to do Bay, Pleasant,
Wait a minute, I
Barnes.
can't write that fast.
Oh, I'm sorry. How about I sent you a set of plans? I got a set of plans. It should be in one of the meetings we had. We presented it because we approved JC Engineering to do the surveying. So you have a set of plans on that, or the streets.
So this is just Swiss
Right.
speech right now.
Yes, absolutely. That's it.
Guy's going to send out the full plan.
Yeah, of every street. I think it was in your packet, but I will send it back out. Remember JC Engineering, we presented, but I'll do that.
Yeah, you gave it, we got that at the,
One of the meetings, I
one
don't
of
know
the,
which one.
couple of meetings back.
But I will send it out again. But there's specific streets.
Do
to
these
it.
people know?
I haven't got there yet.
Okay.
First of all, I have to see the feasibility, whose ownership.
Okay, so we're still doing research on it.
Because once I
Okay.
find the ownership, because some roads are private, some are public, and so that gets to be dicey, so I want to vet all that stuff, and once we have that, then we have to approach
So,
it.
so right now, there's no news to the Swiss speech people that live on these roads that you're going to have to go to
No.
grinder pump?
I will-
Okay,
I will send out notice, I think, because in the summer it's more populated, and have a meeting at their center. I'll do it this summer to talk to them about it, but that's just to get the ball rolling for their edification. But they know that we're there pumping that line constantly, and they're
Yeah.
tired of us blocking them, so
We're talking about
something is
taking up a
wrong.
good bit of this.
Thank you.
They go outside.
You know,
I'm gonna put these at the end of between where the property line is, and that's where I'm gonna put them, at the very end, between the street and the property line. So we can service them and pump them, yeah, so they're gonna be outside.
You see, what you physically see is like a little green domed
That's it.
structure.
they're kind of like the system they have over Marion.
Yeah, same thing, Marion, Chelmsford does,
Yeah, I know exactly what it is, but what I was concerned with is how long it could go if we had a power outage.
Yes.
well, so, I think right now they're between 55 and 80 gallons, that's what they are. So let's say a house does 150 gallons a day normally, and you cut that in half, so you'd have to be conservative with water, you can get a day or two. So we can make our rounds, because the generator's in the pickup with a long cord, and we just drive and plug in, plug in, do an extended power outage. Most people don't bother us at all for hours, for a day, we don't get bothered at all. And we really haven't had that extended outage, because we've only been out once. So, it doesn't bother most people. We've only been out once since 2012.
Yeah, it's much better than when I first moved down here, we had Comedy Electric.
So that's the other part of it too. It's important. They're becoming more and more popular only because of infiltration and inflow. There's no control, and this gives us some control. So that's, we're
Okay.
moving, just so you're
Just
aware.
one quick, if we were to install these grinder pumps, how would the connection from the sump pump be eliminated?
So there's a sump pump pumps greater gallons than what a grinder pump pumps. And the grinder pump can't handle it. So in other words,
What happens if the grinder pump doesn't handle it? It can't handle the flow, and therefore it backs up into the house? So these people not only have to have a grinder pump installed, they have to find an alternative for their sump pumps to push back out into the yard, which comes back down into the water and
I get that.
They're
but we can't
supposed,
have it in the
they're
sewer.
supposed to be doing that now.
I know that, but you know they don't.
Well, now they're gonna get their attention. It's that,
Okay.
like the
We have to figure it
moratorium.
out. We'll work with them.
What-
I'm sorry, Russ, we're looking at a grant right now.
Okay,
To
all
use
right.
abandoned pipes to tie in sump pumps. We're looking for a grant right now to do that. It's
Okay.
reasonable. So we're not saying to heck with the people. We're looking at alternatives, but the bottom line is we gotta get it out of our system.
Yep.
And we've begged them for years and it just doesn't happen. I'm sorry, Russ.
So there's ways to present this to make it more palatable for the public. For example, exactly what Commissioner Slavin said, what do we do with the sump pump issue now? Well, if you're going to put a grinder pump in, you're going to have to excavate an area in your front yard to put the grinder pump. Maybe the town purchases, the Cultec infiltrators that cost probably $100 and something each, and say, if we make you go on a grinder pump, we are going to give you a Cultec infiltrator. So while you excavate for your grinder pump, put your infiltrator, which is a plastic semicircular structure that sits in the ground, and you can put your sump pump right into that while you have the excavation open for your grinder pump. It's not going to cost that much more to put that in, and work with the homeowners to make it more attractive to them. Say, okay, well, now I got to go grinder pump, but if we can buy these infiltrate, when I say infiltrator, it's just like it's a black structure. It's about the size of this table, maybe a little bit bigger. And that's what the sump pump pumps into, and it allows it to infiltrate back into the ground. You install that above the water table. So that way, the homeowner says, okay, well, now we got a grinder pump, the town's giving us this infiltrator, the contractor's gonna charge us an extra $500 to install it, and take the pipe from the sump pump and put it in there. There you go.
Done deal.
Great idea.
Work with a program like that. You gotta give the homeowner some incentive, because it's gonna be a change. When you tell someone that you used to have gravity sewer that has no moving parts, now you have this little mini pump station in your front yard with these moving, and they're gonna, oh, would we have to go out there and change the oil in it? You're gonna get all sorts of
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
You give them a little cheat sheet, what to do with your new grinder pump, in the event of a power outage. Know that you only have 70 gallons of capacity, which means, don't be running the sprinkler system or not the showers or cooking. But you make it as easy as possible for
What
the
are you
homeowner.
tying the sump pump into?
So it's a little hard to explain without a diagram, but the infiltrator, what I'm saying, that the Cultec infiltrator, it's a plastic structure that would be installed next to the grinder pump. The sump pump line ties into that plastic
Kinda like a wet
infiltrator,
well.
Yeah,
and then the water infiltrates into the ground. So the water, it's basically a
nothing
cyclical.
but a dry well.
Yes, that's in
It's a
your
dry well.
terminology, yes.
Exactly,
No, it's a dry
exactly.
well.
So that, it doesn't work down Swift's Beach.
Well, it just won't get
Or the
dry.
water table.
Well, that's why they're installed right above the water table. You only need about a foot of cover over these. They're meant for front, so that means if you have 2 feet to the groundwater table, you can put these
You
in.
been down there when it's raining at high tide?
I'm sure the water table is right there, but I mean, it's the best
I
opportunity
often
we can
ask
get.
myself, how did they ever allow houses to be built down there?
You're
That's what I ask
absolutely right.
myself. I had brought to the town at one point and said that we should stop all building in the future of Swiss Beach. If something happens to home, we say you can't go back into it because it's a mess. And you have a high water table and you got a lot of sewer pipes. Not a good scenario.
Well, if the storm surge and the predictions for sea level rise are true, in about 50 years, we're going to be talking retreat plans, not,
Well, we're gonna be
Retro
sitting
sets.
right here trying to figure a way around it.
Raised my house when I first moved down there. I would have had to raise it 2 more times with the FEMA's new,
Peter, they can't hear you.
They can't hear you.
with FEMA's new, in order for them to fund illegal aliens.
Yes, it's difficult because as you rate, yes, it goes high. We're seeing it at the pump stations. We have slosh or whatever, and so we got to raise the ability to waterproof our stations to a higher elevation. It's
Right.
constantly rising, absolutely. Absolutely. So anyways, that's what we're trying to do. So, Mr. Chairman, my point is that these projects are ongoing, they're long-term, that we're trying to tie everything in, so that's what we're doing in areas like One Kinko that are in trouble, and there's so many more areas. I could replace a lot of pipe, and I thought about lining, but lining only gives me one area. I'm still in trouble with sumps and et cetera, so I want to do the whole thing.
Just so everybody's on the same page, we're going forward with a lot of stuff. There's been a lot of information thrown out. At the same time, we're going forward on trying to find solutions to a lot of these things that we're doing as well. I mean, the putting remote treatment plants in different parts of the town. There's a there's a company that's producing that now, and once it gets approved by the state of Massachusetts, it's probably going to be a very real consideration. So, you know, you worry about West Wareham, you worry about that 275-acre parcel off 25 there. We'll be able to handle that, or it will be able to be handled without coming through the plant. There'll be remote operations. It will be controlled through the plant, through SCADA. So, I mean, there's a lot of options that are out there. How many of them are going to be viable is still unknown. But it's not like, you know, we're just waving a flag and saying we're not doing anything other than having a problem. We're doing an awful lot. It's just not obvious. It's not something you can you can bring to the table and say, you know, we're doing it tomorrow, because it's not going to happen.
Absolutely. And to complicate the matters, just because that's what we do, I'm learning from the engineers, is our loading is unbelievable. We're at 1-2 parts million of nitrogen. We're allowed 54 pounds of nitrogen a day to that river. We're lucky if we're doing 25. So that's a consideration in increasing our flow, and that's what they looked at. So that's that's real as real can be. Our numbers are staggering, probably the best producing wastewater facility for nitrogen in the entire state. The numbers are staggering. So that's on our side as far as, because the nutrients is a factor, pounds and flow and concentration gives you the pounds per day of loading. We're way below it. I mean, we're way below it. So that gives us some, if you will, more capacity. So we're working on that also, bringing those numbers forward. So we're doing a lot of things. It's something, you know, gosh, we spend a lot of hours trying to figure this out, a lot of hours, because it's critical to the growth of the community. It's hit us in the face. There's no longer talk. We've been talking about this for 10 years. We've been trying to get the canal for 8 years, so we've been talking. We talked about capacity. We talked about it getting, and we've just, everybody's like, yeah, let's just keep going. Well, we're here. We are here. Our journey is ended for capacity. We need to do something, or we just don't do any more sewering, period. And that's a scary thing. So we've taken it seriously, and I appreciate all the help from the board, and Jim comes down. I really appreciate it, because it's a serious issue. We're moving forward. That's all I have for a report. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Well, under unfinished business, we just covered the sump pumps. So, that's still playing. And I'm assuming we're still getting connections to...
We are. They keep trickling in. Another one at 156, Cremisa Road is tying in. So they're trickling in.
Would it be possible for the next meeting to get an update on the number that are still outstanding?
It's possible, everything's possible, but probable, that's another story.
Okay, well, you know,
That's another issue, but we'll work on it.
if you
I'll
can.
request it.
If not the next one, the one after that, or something. It just, I mean,
Update.
we started at what, 90 or 88?
Something like that. We've
Something-
moved,
something
we've
like
moved.
that,
It's
so I think
been-
we're-
We've been doing it regularly.
Yeah,
I will
we've gone
ask
down.
Christiana to update it.
Quite a bit, to be nice.
How's Lad Ave doing?
Lad Ave, let's,
New business, Sandy.
What?
New business.
You want me to say something about new business?
Say nothing is better.
Yeah,
No, she's got something to say. I know she has.
okay. At the last selectmen's meeting, one of the Peter Titlebaum suggested he could become the co-liaison to this commission. And I think we need to talk about whether or not we need a liaison from the selectmen. I mean, I've been here 3 years, and I think I saw a liaison here maybe twice in 3 years.
Oh, Patrick will come if we ask him.
Okay, but we've asked him to do some help for us to get some water numbers, and nothing's ever happened. I mean, do we need a liaison? Do we want Patrick and Peter to be our liaisons, or do we have any say in it?
I'm perfectly comfortable with Patrick, and when we want him, ask him to come. I don't think we need Peter.
I personally feel,
Donna.
I'm sorry. I personally feel that, you know, Patrick's been very helpful, and, I mean, he knows the business. You know, why, when we need him, ask him. But, again, follow-through hasn't been there.
Excuse me?
Follow-through has not been there.
Now you want everything.
Pardon?
Said, now you want everything.
Well, usually when I say I'm gonna do something, I do it.
Okay,
Oh, just, Guy, the last properties not tied into town sewer was presented to us in September 25, 2018.
That's pretty recent.
That's the last one we
18.
have.
And you want it updated?
2018.
That's pretty
I just,
recent.
to help her understand where it might be a
you.
document.
Yeah, so I'll have a go, and then we'll start adding, we'll go back into the files
Pushy.
and we'll add.
Yeah, 'cause
Pushy,
that time we were
pushy.
86 not connected.
What do
Okay,
you want? It's AD.
my goodness, I thought that's pretty recent. Wow.
All right.
Well, is the liaison
no,
issue dead,
let me
or-
just make a comment on the liaison.
Okay.
I think if we're gonna have an additional warm body taking up space and being our liaison, I would only go along with it as soon as they show up with the information necessary and have us receive all the information that we need from water in order to restructure the EDU billings. But until they have that agreement in hand with the water department, I don't believe we need any other liaison.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am,
do we actually have any say over that?
we just did.
I'm just asking, do we have the authority to say we don't need a liaison or another liaison?
Donna,
So I make a motion that we make a
It's always-
recommendation.
better to ask forgiveness.
Oh,
than permission.
I agree with that philosophy.
Okay, that's where we're going.
One,
Go ahead, Peter.
one point. If Peter Titlebaum were here, all of the things that we've been complaining about, that town hall never does for us. Don't forget, he is also the redevelopment authority. So all of the things that caused the moratorium,
That is.
he would have known in advance, and we might not have gotten in this pickle.
Would you like a motion?
Rosie, yes, please.
I make a motion that Jimmy Gibberti send a letter to the selectmen recommending that Patrick Tropiano continues to be our one and only liaison.
I think you're throwing down the gauntlet
Get up, get
by
up,
doing
get
that.
up, get up.
I think there's a better way to do that, but I don't know what it is, but I do believe if you do that, you're gonna be, you know, I'm not looking to miff anyone off. I'm just looking for cooperation and
We've been looking for cooperation now for the last 6 years.
we haven't got it.
Thank you. I think that,
But will this get us cooperation?
Mr. Chairman, I know I can't vote, but my only statement is whoever does whatever they do, I hope they do it in the best interest of the enterprise, because it's all about the enterprise. It's about the ratepayers, the sewer users, and the problems we're having. And so whoever is our liaison, I would like them to work in our best interest and not in anybody else's best interest.
Well, the IMA that's in place is costing us 100,000 gallons.
And
That's
tons of
something
money,
that they negotiated.
and tons of money. Well, this particular board didn't negotiate it. I don't know if they're aware of the present agreement made between the town administrators, but that agreement has cost us tons of money. So I would like to see, I don't have, my bottom line is that for certain things, IMA, water, whatever, you need selectmen, because without their signature, or they're the only ones allowed to enter into agreements. So there has to be a relationship. There has to be some type of communication. However, I think whoever it is, and that's your call, not mine, but they should definitely work in our best interest and do something that benefits the enterprise. And that's all I ask. I may be biased, but the enterprise is my one and only concern. Not that I don't love my town. I think the world of my town, but the enterprise is something I don't want to lose sight of. We're in trouble because no one's paid attention to the enterprise, period. And I think, other than what's here, outside, but I think that's my only comment on this whole thing. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Rather than more liaison, I think if we were to send the selectman's office a copy of our minutes after every meeting, would accomplish the same thing. Because they're not going to be here for every meeting. I know it's available to them, but do they know what actually went on unless something's brought up?
Some of the selectmen do.
Well, I know one of them does, but
Well, that's what I'm just saying.
Two of them.
I'm all for, I just would love to see the selectmen work with us. And I've been on this board since its inception, and I've yet to see it happen. Yes, we do have people that do work with us when we ask them, but I see a huge lack of recognition and cooperation. And frankly, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating as a board member for me to, because I try to put my heart and soul into what I do, but sometimes it's really difficult because of the way things are.
You have a motion on the floor, and it hasn't...
Second.
And now it's seconded.
what's the motion?
Just vote.
Jimmy to write a letter to the Board of Selectmen that Patrick continues to be our only liaison. That's the motion. And it's been
It's been
seconded.
seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I am getting the use for lawyers, but the fact that he's on those other boards could be beneficial. Nay.
Okay.
310.
Okay.
So you get to write a letter.
How about if we send Patrick a copy of the minutes after every meeting?
Hey,
As long as you send somebody to read them to them.
He comes when we ask him to.
I
you
understand that.
you can't make them read you can't make, they're available.
Right.
You
They're
can't make a
on-
person read them.
I mean, to me, my personal feel, our liaisons in all the committees I'm on has a responsibility to understand what's going on.
That's right.
They don't think it's necessary to come to our meetings, but all our minutes are on the town website to be available for everybody.
I understand they're on the website, but if we sent the liaison a copy of the minutes, and then you weren't getting any response, you'd have some sort of recourse. Having two of them not show up here is not going to do us any more good than one.
From operations, I have to take my part-timer to write those, to send those minutes. Probably not a big deal. She writes them
No,
anyways.
just the same minutes that we have that we approve, just,
But it's just, I just,
So when we approve them, what's your recommendation? Not only send them to the clerk to be posted in the clerk's office
to Patrick.
and on the website.
And
but-
send them to the liaison.
So send one to
Well,
Patrick.
well, do we need a motion to do that?
no, just
gonna
do
say-
it.
What,
Just include expand the distribution for the minutes.
All right, the next meeting is on the 8th of July, unless somebody wants to have it sooner.
In room
and-
320?
Excuse me?
In room 320?
Yes.
Hey, Donna, I
I'm-
think you're up.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
8 o'clock.